Hey everyone, Brienne here with my ABA mentor, and back on here to talk about one of the biggest lessons that I learned as a BCBA over my career, and that is with my most difficult clients. So please like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get all the latest videos, and it helps get this information out to new BCBAs or even seasoned BCBAs who want to talk about what it's like out there and being in the trenches of this field. So today I want to talk about my most difficult client, and this was a while back, but there was an in-home client who had very severe aggressive behaviors. And it wasn't necessarily the most difficult client because of the behaviors, but it was the most difficult in respect to my ability to lead this family to getting the appropriate services that they need. And there's kind of two sides to our job. One is just the clinical side, that yes, we're programming for behaviors, we're working on skill acquisitions, all of those things. And the other side of our responsibility is to lead this person or this family with their child to the end point of ABA. And this happened to be the most difficult situation that I have had, trying to just lead them down the path of ABA in a way that they could receive the help that they were needing and felt comfortable about what we were doing. So because this individual had lots of aggressive behaviors, when we met initially, I was talking to them about safety in the environment and how we were in home and all of these things. And initially I said, we probably need to have some form of physical management in place if things escalate and there is no other safe option for us to de-escalate these behaviors and it starts to become a safety concern. And if you're familiar with how any physical management procedure operates, or if you've been trained in one of these, you need to make sure that that individual or that parent is 100% on board with what you're doing. And so we started there and went through the process of explaining everything that they needed to know, what it looked like, what it was going to entail, how it was going to affect behaviors, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the things that they needed to be ready for in going in this direction. And at that point, after I went through everything, here I was feeling like, yeah, we have this solid plan, here's what this is going to work because of XYZ reason, and this is why this is the best route. And the parent looks at me and says, absolutely not. And I said, oh, okay, well, let's, talk about it some more and, see, why you feel that way. So I started asking some questions and just really getting feedback from the parent and really digging into what was the biggest concern? Why were they opposed to this direction? What is it that they wanted to get out of ABA? And make sure that we were on the same page with all of that. Now, in myself, I took a step back and I said, okay, how do I navigate this situation when, we have these safety concerns and the parent is not necessarily receptive to what we need to do to keep everyone safe? And what I ended up doing was presenting several different options to the family that said, okay, here's option one, and this is the physical management procedure that we need to do, to keep everyone safe. But there are some other ways we can go about this. And here is another reason. So here's option one, here's option two, and here's option three. And the way that I presented this was with the full procedure of everything that would happen, all of the pros and cons, and as well as the progression of therapy, because what they needed to understand was because we had to go potentially in a different direction, progress may be slower than what they would have liked to see. And so I didn't want us to end up in a situation where we were moving at a very, very slow pace to keep them comfortable with everything that we're doing. But then 6 months later, for them to look around and be like, what actually have you guys done? You haven't done a lot. And so it was very important that I outlined all of those variables to them, black and white, in writing, reviewed it, went over everything, answered all the questions that they asked, and made sure that there was a very clear path to the direction that we could both come to the table and agree on going towards. So because I did all of that, the parent was very receptive and was able to choose an option that felt good to them, and that they could see what we were doing, that they could understand what we were doing, that it wasn't so invasive that they felt uncomfortable. And we were able to make some progress with this kiddo. But ultimately, at the end of the day, something else came up, and then we ended up not providing services anymore after all of that work, which was very disappointing for me because I put so much time and effort into outlining everything that we needed to do. But when I'm looking back on this situation, I've had several situations where it took more from me to put more work in order to get a better result. And that is my job, and that is my responsibility. As a behavior analyst, it's my job to make sure that we're providing ethical and effective services, that we're taking into account all the variables, and that we are also, consulting and taking into account the parents. It's not just me coming in and saying, all right, we need to do X, Y, Z, or that's it. Like, this is our only option. It really is a more collaborative approach that really allows a lot of buy-in from the parent. And if you know it or not, at this point, you actually have two clients, one being the student that you're servicing if you're working with kids, and two is the parents, and the parents who are essentially agreeing to have the service for their child. And so that person and the rapport with that person and the communication and the transparency is extremely important to how much you're going to be able to help their child. And so at the end of the day, it was, one of the most difficult situations that I found myself in, kind of with this tug of war of programs and behavior plans and reviewing everything and going over it again and again and again to make sure that we're on the same page. And it all turned out exactly how it was supposed to. We made progress, and what I learned was the extent to which my responsibility is as a behavior analyst, and making sure that I am meeting that responsibility. And the parent on the other side, or the client on the other side, they just don't know what they don't know. And so it is my responsibility to educate them and to explain what we're doing and to get buy-in or compromise or work together in a professional way so that we can get the end result that we want. And if I know that I am doing my part and I am giving my 100%, I'm fulfilling my responsibility. And whatever the other person decides to do, whether they disagree and they discontinue services, or they say, Brianne, you're crazy, you're terrible at your job, whatever, and they, decide to go do something else, I know that I put my 100% in, and that is what is important, and that fulfills my professional and my moral and ethical responsibility to provide a high quality level of service. So think about that next time that you are working with some difficult situations or difficult clients, difficult parents, and reflect on what you're doing and say, am I doing everything that I can to make this work? Am I providing all the information? Am I providing all the training? And this is in any situation, you know, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And if you are, fantastic. Like, that's all we can ask for. But if you start to say, well, I could do this or could do that, you know, you have to ask yourself, why are you not doing that? Why are you not putting that effort in? Do you need to make the time to go to that level of service and that level of detail with someone? Because the child is the one that loses, you know, in the end. And that is the unfortunate truth about, you know, providing services to kids and families. So if you're looking for mentorship, please check out the links in the comments. We have mentorship for BCBAs, BCABAs, as well as business owners, and of course our residency program. If you're a student looking for supervision hours remotely, you can check out that program there, and we'll see you on the next video.